Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for. You are entering the Pirate's Den.
You have to like when there's a guy coming right in your face and he just sits in there and delivers it really well.
God, it's football season and it makes my dick rock hard. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Pirates Den podcast. It's great to be back. Today, we do not have Trevor here. I had to dig into the garbage bin to find someone new to replace him. Trevor's not happy about it. I think him and I may be breaking up soon. This whole shared custody with his girlfriend is not fun. Today's episode, I have Blake here with us, one of my good old buddies.
What's up, man?
Oh, just we're in the studio. I guess you can call what this little area I made is.
Yeah, do you have a name for it yet?
The Pirates Den.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I was gonna. You guys can't see it, obviously, but you see how these eaves come up like that? I want to get like the Pirates, like our logo or our
right.
thing
You were saying
right up there or right up there like that. If this wall could hold it, I would love to put a TV right there.
that would be
But
nice.
I'd be scared if it would, because if we put a TV up there and it fell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
fall right
that
into
could be
us.
really ugly fast. I don't know. You find some studs in there, you probably don't got much to worry about. But
Oh no, feel that wall. You ain't gonna hit studs.
there's
that stuff
nothing
is that thick.
it's yep, probably not. I wouldn't do that.
No, it's they're thick and they're soft, which is nice for what we do here because it kind of absorbs some sound, so you don't get near as much echo. Because this room is pretty vacant. All that I got in here is the table, and that is it.
It really does sound perfect. You did a really good job with this setup, and you got your intro voice down pat, man. You sound good.
Well, thank you.
So clean, so crispy. You're just moving right along here. Like it sounds like you've done it forever.
I've not done the podcasting forever, but I did the YouTube thing and the Twitch thing, and I've got to when you're doing Twitch and you don't have anybody playing with you, you've got to talk like there's someone in front of you. Talk like there's an audience. When you're playing a video game and you're just sitting there just going through the boring part of the game.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you got to make your own commentary. So I've gotten pretty good at that.
Sometimes I forget that you guys do all that, and that would obviously make you a lot better at talking by yourself, essentially. But yeah, I don't got much experience with that. I've got a lot of experience with getting talked over by Greg, but that's pretty much it.
Well, yeah, that would be the. I know Greg.
You do.
He does. He does like to talk, and he
Loudly.
Loudly. I've heard it in the few podcasts there's not even a few that you've been in over there on Jeff and Greg. It's a lot.
Yeah, 17 last I counted, but that's first place by 10. So
By a large margin.
Yeah, so note that. And I don't think that trophy's going away anytime soon. If Jeff hears this, then he'll make a point. He'll make a point to make me second place, but I don't know.
He probably will.
He's too lazy.
Sure he is. Hey, if you look on your screen there, do you see my little bar moving up and down?
Sure do. Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. I'm not seeing it on my end, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're there. Yeah, we get this done, and it's just audio of me just responding every few seconds.
Yeah, it's happened before, but there's no way to tell because I can't just play it back.
Right.
I can't change anything once I hit that record button. It's whatever happens. And that's that. So today's podcast, we are delving into something that hasn't been delved into before on this podcast because Trevor isn't much into this particular topic, but Blake and I are both pretty adamant about it. We're going to be talking some sports, primarily football, and actually probably mostly football. I'm not talking about that, what those Europeans call football. I'm talking about real football, American football.
Yeah, they don't even spell it right.
Yeah, they spell it. They spell it SOCCER.
SOC. Oh yeah,
Soccer.
That took me a second. It took me longer than it should have. That's for sure. But
so I have.
That's good.
So I invited you over here to this podcast. You said, "Hey, can we do it a little bit early?" And you had a reasoning for that because you didn't want to do it later in the afternoon or later in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a pretty cool thing coming up tonight.
Yes, yeah. Later this afternoon, I've got my first league fantasy draft of the season, and it sounds like it's going to be a pretty extravagant version of it, more than I've done in the past, more than we've done in the past.
Yeah.
Same result as it goes, but we're going to do a lot of fun stuff. It sounds like we're going to have intro songs, which is awesome. I don't know what position I'm picking in yet. That's all going to be random. So that's why the notes are super important. So don't get caught off guard. Obviously I would know, 1 through 3, who I would go, but it's an 8-person league such as our own.
Yeah.
And, but it's going to be with the board. Never done that before. So,
oh, that's way different. Yeah.
Yeah. Way different. I have no idea how that works. So is it? I'm like, is it that we pick it on the board and then he adds it in later as the commissioner, or because what we done generally is just you pick it on the phone or your laptop and there it goes. So it's gonna be strange, but that's what we got going on, and it's gonna be really fun.
Yeah, you were telling me about it the other day, and I was like, dude, that's really cool. It's like the actual draft. Like you get up there and it's like for the first overall pick of the 2022, this is a vendor draft, right? Or vendor league. The vendor league. And your name was what? The Coca-Coltas?
Yeah, Coca-Cola. I don't know if I'm gonna
go if you're gonna stick with that.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna stick with it, but it was clever to begin with, Oh,
it is, yeah.
Frito-Lay guy, his is stacking chips. I thought that was pretty. That was pretty clever because championships, actual chips, like there we go. I was like, he was what inspired me. Unfortunately, he's a Raiders fan and he's let it be known. But
what a piece of shit.
yeah, that's for sure. But there is another Colts fan in this league. And that's never happened to me before. I've never had multiple Colts fans in there, so that's
all right.
That's pretty abnormal for me. It's cool, but always multiple Broncos fans, always multiple Seahawks fans. Usually you throw in a Dallas fan here or there.
Yeah.
But they're all really cool guys, so I'm excited to see how this goes.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. We have some cool plans for our draft. I know, or to set up our draft.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one topic I wanted. I think I put it on here. Is good luck finding that in my 18 million notes I have for this one. Coming up for topics and notes for this podcast is a lot easier because Trevor doesn't like to do. I'm going to blast Trevor on this. He doesn't like to come in with any idea of what we're going to be doing. He just likes to come in and talk, which sometimes makes a great podcast, but sometimes creates us having a lot of space and ums and uhs. But I mean, usually they end up pretty good episodes. We finally get into a groove. It might take a few minutes to get into it, but we get into it. For our draft, we decide if we were going to do that 40-yard dash?
The 40-yard dash. Oh yeah, so pretty much half of the league was into it, but I'm having difficulty getting the rest of the guys to respond. Even our buddy JT, who's in one of the Dakotas. Is it one of the Dakotas? What state is he in?
I thought he was in Idaho still, just up northern Idaho.
Am I wrong? Well, he's a distance away, whatever it is. But even he agreed to video record himself with a timer to accurately show his 40 times, so he that could be a part of it, and which I
Yeah.
loved his enthusiasm.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, there was me, you, Nick, and my cousin Cody, who was all down to do it. Dylan was there too, but he's has trouble making the time. So if we can squeeze it in,
Yeah.
I'm still down. But at this point, I'm kind of assuming that we're gonna proceed it order like we done in years past, where I usually
Yeah.
line it up first to eighth, reversed, eighth
Right,
overall.
right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's a backup plan. I hate to do it because I wanted to do something fun, but it's all good.
Are we still thinking of punishment?
Oh yeah.
Good.
I think since we've established our own draft party, after the draft itself, we'll all discuss and vote on what we feel the punishment should be, and that's actually what's happening at my other draft today, which I thought was a really good idea. So everybody can kind of agree on it.
Okay.
And like
Yeah. Good
the
idea.
one person can't just push back on everything, because you find the people that push back the most are the ones that are the least confident in their ability.
Yep.
So
That's. I mean, I didn't do terrible last year, but I'm still mad at you because I missed the playoffs by one game because of
right.
you.
That's right. I forgot about
You,
that.
you and I fought for that last playoff
Gosh.
spot. We went in
Man.
with the same record. And in fact, at the end of that, at the end of our last game we played before the playoffs, we had the same record. So I thought I still might have had a chance, but no, you had gotten the tiebreaker because you beat me.
Yeah, I got the tiebreaker because I beat you, and I think I may have actually had more scored points.
Was that a factor in there?
That is a factor. Yeah, if it comes down to like record and all that stuff, of course, a win over that team does get you. But if there's none other, then that's one as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But we were really close, and we were fighting tooth and nail, which felt like an inevitable early exit to the playoffs,
Yeah.
which it was for me. I got obliterated. It wasn't even fun. I was like, I should have just ended this a week earlier,
No,
so I
yeah.
had to stop suffering.
Well, if I would have went into that first week of the playoffs, I would have decimated anybody that was in the actual playoffs, because in the losers bracket, I was, even because you can still see all the points of all the teams. I had the second highest points for the first week of the playoffs.
That's right. You actually went in first week after missing the playoffs. You were in the consolidation bracket, and you had the game of your season, right? Like that was the bet.
It was one of the games of my season. I think it was real close to my, I want to say, third game of the season, because I know my first game of the season that year, I was like, fuck Aaron Rodgers, I don't want this piece of shit on my team. Got me negative 10 points.
Dude, oh, it's so funny how one bad game will just make you totally reject a player who otherwise is probably going to mostly carry you really well throughout the whole season.
And he did.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was thinking of ways all season to try and convince you to trade him to me. Like, didn't I offer you multiple first round players at one point, I think?
You and Dylan.
Yeah. Dylan was probably the really big one because he is a avid Packers fan, of course. But at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers is a back bet MVP. So, I mean, he's a...
Yeah. Do you think he's going to be stellar this season who's Adam Lazard?
Alan Lazard. Yeah, Alan Lazard.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be just fine. Like, obviously, Devontae Adams is the... right now, in my opinion, I think in most people's opinion, the number one wide receiver in the league. So you take that guy away, obviously things change. But, when the number one guy gets taken out and the quarterback is forced to spread the ball around more,
do you think that would help the quarterback?
You
Because
think
now he's not going to be targeting just Devontae. He's going to be targeting Lazard and and his tight end more. And
Right. Yeah, they got, what's his name? Bob. Big Bob, they call him. I can't remember his
I
last name. I'm a
couldn't-
little rusty. Like, we're just getting into the season here, so it's like I'm not even as well versed as I could do all the homework that I want. It's 6
Yeah.
weeks from now, I'll be way better.
yeah,
But yeah, sometimes I think it can benefit a team. You know, it's like obviously he's the big play guy. He's going to take it to the house, and that's always an advantage. But I remember years ago, Matthew Stafford, when he lost Calvin Johnson, right? And we're all like, oh my God, this team is going to be abysmal, which they were. But
which they were.
But it actually didn't reflect on Matthew Stafford as bad as we thought it would. We thought, oh,
No.
Calvin Johnson's gone. Matthew Stafford's going to show his true colors. He can't just throw the 50-50 ball up to this guy every time. And he actually really took it and ran with it, you know?
Yeah, he did. He
And
really did.
he's not Aaron Rodgers, you know? So I think that could have it'll have an effect on Green Bay, but I think they're still definitely a playoff caliber team.
Oh, yeah,
Super
for
Bowl
sure.
caliber team.
Uh,
I mean, like the NFC is not that competitive right now. If you really think about it, who is it? Tampa?
maybe not even Tampa this year.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't. How did we get into Devontae Adams?
Well,
were we getting after something else there? Did I get sidetracked?
No,
Oh,
not
okay.
really.
Okay.
I was just going by how like I was upset with Aaron Rodgers at
Right.
my first game of the season, and then I
Yeah.
asked, "How do you think he's going to do this year without Devontae Adams?"
Okay, yeah, and that could, how he's going to do that can be both real life and fantasy. So that's how I kind of made that transition. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Oh yeah,
Aaron Rodgers is going to be fine at the end of the day. He's going to be,
he really is.
yeah. I don't think he's going to get a third MVP run out of this. I think
No,
Devontae will make enough of an impact there that he
for sure.
probably can. I mean, the runaway favorite for that's got to be Josh Allen, right?
For the MVP,
Yeah.
you know, some people I've heard it, and this might just, I'm going to bring it up because
Mhm.
that's one of my topics too. Is who you think is going to win the MVP?
Mm,
There's been a lot of talk that this could be Russell Wilson's MVP season.
really?
He
Yeah.
has and again, this might sound a little biased. I am a Broncos fan,
Sure.
but he has a very good he has a very good receiving core,
Mhm.
all the way from wide receivers, wideouts to the tight end. Our running backs can catch really well too. We got Melvin Gordon.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that's right. You do. Yeah, no, it's a solid team. It's a solid offense at least.
Yeah.
And there's a real argument for that. He's probably a dark horse MVP candidate, right?
Right. Yeah.
You if you're gonna talk MVP a lot, I would, if it was my pick, I'd say Josh Allen because that's just too easy. Like if you want to,
You should have seen him in the granted it was his preseason today.
yeah,
But his opening drive, 4 plays, he was in the end zone.
yeah. I saw the stat line. I was like, dude, he just gets better and better every year.
Yeah.
He's big, he's strong, he's fast, he's athletic, he's accurate.
And I mean, you take that with a grain of salt because it was preseason. The Broncos haven't been playing any of their starting anybody,
Yeah,
and they're decimated. I don't even know what the score is now. I stopped watching
Sure.
it because it was when I stopped watching the Broncos. McManus kicked his third
right.
field goal, and I was like, this looks like regular season Broncos last year.
Yeah, the Colts are actually currently playing right now against the Lions, and
Last I saw, they were tied up at 20.
they were tied up. But I was like, this is like the Colts' second and third team playing like what will actually be the Lions for the whole season, because
That's probably true.
yeah,
That's
I would say so.
That's probably true.
I'm not really that interested, as like I was talking to you earlier about, like it's watching preseason. It just honey dicks you, it just like makes you think of things that aren't even real,
Right.
But
I like to watch it for the fact that these guys could be playing for us. Maybe not this year, but they're fighting their hearts out for a chance to be on the active roster. These are 3-string core. These are practice squad people going out,
sure,
and they're fighting for that spot on the 52-man on the on the roster, and they're fighting for it. So that makes it interesting.
Yeah, it does. It's
But-
really fun to watch. And those are the hungriest guys that you'll ever see. So I don't know. I guess it was just a unconscious decision this year to kind of stick away from it. But
Right. Well, and I didn't even get the Broncos start watching until halftime.
Right.
It's Saturday. I'm like, there's no football today.
I forget too. I forgot about the whole this season of the what is this? The AFL or the
hard hitting league.
Yeah, it's like because they're bringing back the XFL again. So it's not that, but it's like the
I think it's AFL, American Football League.
USFL. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I forgot about it every single weekend. I wanted to watch it. Totally forgot about it. Just saw highlights. But
Same here.
before we get too far away from it, I wanted to go back to that MVP conversation.
Okay.
Because Josh Allen was like, I think everybody's favorite this year, and the Bills are the favorite to go to and win the Super Bowl, which I agree with. But
I agree.
But there's one guy that I think is getting a lot of love, but I don't think he's getting enough. Justin Herbert. That guy is an animal.
And he is, but I don't think he's gonna. He's good. He really is. I don't think he's
Really
in the
good.
running for the MVP.
Man, I think the Chargers might take that division away from Kansas City.
That division is going to be a hard division this year.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I can't wait to see the Raiders fans, like, not to shit on the Raiders like nonstop this podcast, but
Let's do it.
who
Fuck
cares, right?
Fuck them Raiders.
Yeah, who cares? I hate their fan base. I hate them. Moving around, no city can keep them. That's probably for good reason.
It's probably why they're in Vegas, because criminals go there.
Right. They're there to stay, though. That stadium is nice. But
It is.
Anyway.
It's a very nice stadium.
yeah, I think the Chargers, there's big talk that the Chargers top to bottom have the best roster in the NFL. I don't think I agree with that. But
I don't agree with that. Well,
I
mean, are you saying position for position they have the best roster, or just top to bottom?
I guess if you an average across the board.
Okay, because I was like, you got number one wide receiver, in my opinion, on the Raiders. You've got number one quarterback, in my opinion, over at the Bills. You
Right.
got,
So you got, like, I guess what Herbert would probably be, I don't know, 5 right now or something like that.
I would say that too.
Yeah. And then you got Austin Eckler, who's probably 3 to 5, depending on who you ask. You've got Keenan Allen, who's always in the top 10 conversation.
Always.
You've got Derwin James, who they just paid, and he's
A lot of times though, you get those, they get paid and then they just don't perform.
right. But he's still young. I can't believe how early he got that contract. But
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like if you do an average across the board, they bouncing around a lot between 1 through 10. That's a pretty good roster. And I only pointed out the most obvious names, but they could be a force to be reckoned with this year.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
But you got to also look at the other 3 teams in that division. You have the Broncos, who have Russell Wilson, who has not had a stellar couple seasons.
Right.
And it's because Pete Carroll's a dumb fuck of a coach. And
he's old and out of touch for sure. I think that's the main one.
Then it's just he after their last Super Bowl win, they lost everybody that was worthy of note. That Legion of Boom defense, gone.
Right.
Richard Sherman, gone. Cam Chancellor, gone. Like, they lost their defense. They lost all their offense. They lost.
Did Cam Chancellor? Oh,
he retired, I think.
He did retire. Who went? Bobby Wagner went to the Rams. That's right.
And
I was thinking.
And Sherman went to the Niners.
He did last year, and he's now more or less probably retired. I think he's probably done. But
CB position's pretty hard on your body for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, the rest of the division is no cakewalk, that's for sure. But we all can't help but notice that Kansas City sat around this year and didn't do shit to that roster.
they made some moves, but they weren't any stellar moves. Like you didn't hear anything. You had to look what they did up. But
Yeah.
you can't deny Patrick Mahomes has got his thing.
Right.
I don't know how he does it, but he can take a team from a 14-point deficit with the Bills and the Bills game with the playoff game.
Right.
It was 3 or 4 lead changes in 2 minutes.
Yeah, it was a lot. That was the most intense game, maybe second most intense game I've ever watched.
I think that was the true Super Bowl.
That was the true Super Bowl. It's unfortunate that we can't ever see it. You know, it really. Think about if we would have got like the Chiefs of 2-3 seasons ago versus the Bills of today. Like that would just be the ultimate. What I kind of don't understand, but at the same time kind of do, is that Patrick Mahomes went from being like the obvious number one quarterback in the league, right?
Yeah.
And then over the last 2 seasons, we've had Aaron Rodgers win the MVP twice, but then coming out of that, now it's understood that Josh Allen is just number one. Like, what happened there? Like,
Right.
Did Patrick Mahomes have a dip? I didn't see a dip. All I see was Aaron Rodgers come out and prove to the rest of the league that he's still the guy.
Yeah.
And then we come out of that, and
I don't think that it's Patrick Mahomes took a dip. I think he hasn't done anything different. Like he's explosive, but I'll say he's a good quarterback. He's one of the best I've seen, but he just hasn't performed as well as he did in his first couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Still great. Still,
yeah.
In my opinion, one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league.
Sure. That's fair to say. And maybe it's because other teams are, for one, figuring out Kansas City a little bit.
Yeah.
Kansas City's lost some pieces. Obviously, Tyreek Hill, that was huge. Nobody can ignore that.
Huge.
But huge. That's one. Honestly, I think that'll affect Kansas City more than Devontae Adams for the Packers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really
like
think that. But and so I don't think it's really that Mahomes is doing anything worse, because he's still so dynamic and makes throws that almost nobody can make.
Right.
Except one guy. And going back to A-Rod there, I'm kind of sorry, I lost my train of thought. But what it is that Josh Allen has gotten so much better year after year.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Can't argue that at all.
Yeah. And that's gonna make it where they were like 1 and then here. But Josh Allen just keeps getting better and better and better. So it just like makes it seem that he's surpassed him. And I don't know. I think this year will tell.
Do you think that Josh Allen is going to dethrone Brady as the shining star, the quarterback of the league? Because when you think of football right now, what quarterback and you had to think of a quarterback, you ask anybody who isn't really into football, who are they going to say?
Right now, who are they going to say? I'd say if somebody's not into football, they're going to say Patrick Mahomes still.
You think so?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You can't.
I would have said Tom Brady.
They would. Yeah, they would. Because
it's common knowledge he has the most Super Bowl wins.
Sure.
And I don't think a lot of people are going to touch how many Super Bowl wins he has.
I don't think ever, but recency bias, which is huge, in internet culture for sure. I think if you're asking a casual fan, name a quarterback, they're going to go Patrick Mahomes right now.
I could see it. Yeah, to speak.
Yeah.
And I guess all the, what would you say, the how viral he is, and not just him, his wife, his brother, so viral on the internet.
Oh my God!
I could see Patrick Mahomes.
But you're not wrong either. As you were talking about that, you really convinced me. I'm like, it could, if you ask 10 people, I think it could go either way. 6 of them would say Tom Brady, or 6 of them would say Patrick Mahomes, but I think it's going to be really up there. I don't think Josh Allen has reached that. No,
I don't think Josh Allen has either, but that was my question is, do you think that Josh Allen is going to take that spot. I could see it happening as long as the Bills can keep up with. I mean, if they don't put anybody around him,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to fall into the same. He's going to fall into like a. I can't even think of a quarterback that has his talent that
Mhm.
wasn't surrounded, and because of that they fell.
Right. Yeah, that's I think to answer your question, yeah, he can and probably will be the man for the next, the people always like to say 10 years, but like I think
10
we're past
years is a long time.
it is. It's a long time in the NFL, but like look at these quarterbacks now.
With all the protection they have now. I mean, Tom Brady's what, 60, 70 years old?
yeah, he's been around forever. At this point, we've all just thrown up our hands and gone, well, I don't know when he's going to retire. We all thought we all took our guesses and we were always wrong. And then
I thought he was last year. And then he ended up going to Tampa
2 years ago.
2 years ago when he went to Tampa. I was like, oh, he's retiring. He left the Patriots. Oh, went to Tampa. All right. And then started last year. I was like, okay, he said he's going to retire.
I didn't even believe it. I didn't believe
know.
it for a second.
I
was like, oh, yes, but it just didn't feel real, I was like, I was waiting for this for a long time. I wanted it to happen 4 years ago, but Josh Allen is definitely the dude. And the only reason that Aaron Rodgers isn't or never kind of was because of his attitude towards things, even though he was the guy, still is the guy,
but I've heard he is not the best teammate out there.
Yeah, and we hear that, but then when they actually talk to teammates, it seems like it's a different story. I think there's a narrative.
And how could you not like your quarterback, especially when it's Aaron fucking Rodgers?
Yeah, right. It's like, oh man, I hate the guy that's like the absolute best at this in the world. Like that. Why would you? Maybe he demands perfection. So did Jordan. So did Brady.
Is that a bad thing? I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, it's not. It's just like, oh, this was one thing I wanted to talk about while we're talking about him, is that this recent thing with him getting mad at his receivers, right? In training camp. Have you heard this?
Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
No, I didn't hear about that.
So he I can't remember verbatim what he said, but he said there's been a lot of drops, a lot of missed routes, a lot of wrong routes. They got to do better if we're going to do better. There's going to be the best guys on the field. We'll take our best guys, and the rest of them will be watching from home, basically. And a lot of guys on ESPN, Fox Sports, right? They're shitting on him for
really.
Yeah, they're like, why is he always got to be? They say that he just wants to be heard. He wants to hear his own voice. I'm like, you don't think people are standing there asking him questions, trying to get information out of him just because he's Aaron Rodgers? They just they have this and they have this thing against him, seemingly. They want him to be the bad guy. And I don't understand it.
I don't understand it. I think it's because of his because the couple viral videos that surfaced of him bitching out his receivers during games and stuff. That's not any different than a coach coming and being like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is more than just the quarterback for that team. He is a leader. He's been there long enough. He's done this long enough. He knows what's what, and he has the right to go up to his receiver and be like, dumb motherfucker, you were supposed to cut in 5 and not cut in 7. And because you cut in at 7, I threw for 5.
Right.
I was short 2 yards on it.
Why does he always have to be the nice guy? I don't see that getting you very far, when you're talking championships, right? And it's just, I don't know. I think it's frustrating. And I know I talk about him a lot, but and I'm very much an Aaron Rodgers dick rider, but.
Oh, and I am too.
Yeah, I can't help it. But it irritates me to see them drag him through the coals every time. And I'm like, dude, people want this information out of him. He didn't just walk up there and start saying this, No,
he didn't. Yeah, he didn't walk up to that interviewer and be like, hey, I want to tell you about how fucked off my receivers are. No, it came to him and he's like, and he told the truth. He's like, they have work they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who knows any football knows that obviously he doesn't have Devontae Adams anymore.
Right.
He doesn't have the best wide receivers. Like, the Packers aren't going for wide receivers. They didn't try and surround Aaron Rodgers with good wide receivers this year. That's partly because they're paying Aaron Rodgers so much.
Right.
But, I mean, Aaron Rodgers deserves that money. He's proven that's the money he deserves to be paid to play. But it's these non-top caliber wide receivers or just receivers in general. Yeah, they need that little bit of, I would call it encouragement.
Yeah.
And other people might say it's putting them down. I'm like, no, it's, you did this wrong. You need to do this right. Doing it wrong won't win us games. Doing it right will win us a championship.
Exactly. And in a lot of, you're exactly right. And a lot of what their point was is like, oh, what, you know who your top 4 guys are. So it's like, who are you getting mad at here? Your 5th and 6th guy? And I was like, what kind of argument is that to guys that are trying to make the team? I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, because they're the 5th and 6th guy, he should let it go. You know, and that's what they're saying. I'm like, hey, I wish I remembered the name of who it was, because I don't matter to him at all. But
right.
but it's such an irritating narrative that I'm so sick of hearing. And he's going to come out this year and he's going to prove that he's still the number 1 quarterback in the league.
And I'm hoping for a Super Bowl run from the Packers, because I would love to say Broncos are making the Super Bowl, which they do have a valid chance of making the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
But you throw in, it's going to be a hard road for my team. You got Kansas City. You got just in the Broncos division. You got those 3 teams you got to worry about that are all the whole AFC West is Super Bowl caliber, I feel.
Yeah, 6 hard games you've got. Just in that puts you in the top half of the difficulty of schedule, right? So, it's going to be a tough road for them for sure.
And, I mean, so I would love to see a Bills Packers Super Bowl.
Jesus, I can't even imagine. That'd be so cool. In that, I would love to see Rodgers get one more before he rides off into the sunset in probably a year or 2, which I actually told my wife this the other day. Last season, actually, we were watching a Packers game, and I looked at her. I was like, Aaron Rodgers retires. I might legitimately cry that day. I might legitimately cry.
I might have shed a tear the day Peyton Manning retired, right? His last game he ever played with the Broncos.
I got choked up. I got choked up. Yep, I definitely did. And I'm not ashamed to admit it. And I'm going to come out of this particular podcast sounding like the most diehard Packers fan I'm realizing right now.
And you're not.
And I'm not.
That would be your brother.
Yep, that is my brother. I'm just a fan of people that do things well.
Right. And that's how I am too. So one of my topics, well, we're kind of in that realm right now. What I had here was way too early Super Bowl predictions. I love this. I saw that on TikTok from that. What's that guy's name? He did it even before preseason, even before the draft. He did it.
Yeah. Wow.
But now the draft's over. We're into preseason. We kind of know how the teams are going to kind of look. I mean, granted, it's not how exactly they're going to look because the preseason team, but you know a majority of each team's how they're going to look, just because most of the same guys are coming back, or whatever. For me, my way too early Super Bowl prediction, I'm looking at, I want to say Bills. And Packers is always there. That I would say Bills and the Niners.
Bills and Niners. That's a very fair prediction. I think the only pushback I would have on that, I have zero pushback on the Bills. I think that's honestly, I think that's the obvious pick, especially given their division. The Niners, though, I think that's going to come down to their quarterback a lot.
That's they're exactly where the Broncos were last year and the
Mm-hmm.
12 years before that.
Yeah.
Or ever since Peyton Manning left the Broncos, they're in a quarterback crisis. They don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, I like the way they do things with the rest of their team. But the thing with, kind of hanging on to Jimmy G, not trading him away, that's going to cost them a lot of money if they don't. It's going to cost them nothing if they do. And then they've got Trey Lance, who is apparently doing really well in camp and going into the preseason and all that. And I'm like, oh, that's super cute. Super cute. Right. But what are you going to do in a live game? Somebody said that somebody said, oh, who was it? It doesn't even matter, but it was NFL Network like that saying that Trey Lance was a potential MVP candidate. And I was like, you need to shut your whore mouth.
This was an NFL analyst.
NFL analyst, Fox Sports. No, God, I shouldn't say. I don't know. It was one of those analysts, but
were they new?
No,
had they
it wasn't.
Watched football before.
It was that bald guy. It was NFL Network. I can't remember his name, but I was like, are you just trying to have the hot take? Because what evidence is there?
There's none.
Trey Lance
he is just having to try and he just wants that hot take.
But they historically have a really good defense. They've got Nick Bosa, who's a game wrecker.
Yes.
And then a lot of other good players. And Deebo Samuel, right?
Deebo.
And they keep it on the ground.
Deebo's so versatile.
Yeah, they keep it on the ground. Keep him. He's going to be playing on the outside more, obviously. Yes. So it all comes down to that one core piece. So that's a bolder prediction than your AFC pick for sure. Gosh, I didn't want to just jump right in and say for my early prediction, way too early prediction. Oh, I did want to say though, last year I did predict correctly. For the first time. First time. Yeah. And that was preseason. I predicted once the Rams acquired Matthew Stafford, I said they're going to the Super Bowl. And I'm pretty sure I only said going to the Super Bowl. I don't think I said that they would win.
I don't think you chose a winner. I think you just predicted.
I don't think I did. I predicted the Rams though, and they were the only one that I predicted, and they ended up going to and winning. So once they won, then I said that they would win. But
see, I told you.
See, I told you guys. And I had forgotten about it until my wife had reminded me. So this year, I would like to make the safe pick by saying the Bills will go to and win the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And I think they will do it relatively easily.
Okay. And who do you got on the NFC side losing then?
Gosh. It's
because I'd hate to see Aaron Rodgers make it to the Super Bowl just to lose.
Yeah. See, this is where I would like to get upset by saying the Bills will represent the AFC and the Packers will represent the NFC. And I would like to be upset by the Packers winning. I just
don't see that happening. The Bills defense on offense are so well rounded.
They're so well rounded, but if they can figure it out, utilize their running game a little bit more and spread it on the wide receivers, anything is possible. We've all seen some crazy shit happen, and the Bills keep just coming up short. They just keep coming up short. So it could be wrong. It actually feels a little weird predicting them, but I think what you got the Packers, you got Tampa, you got who else in the NFC is really worth. Some people are a little sweet on the Cardinals. I don't feel particularly good about them.
I don't either. I don't like Kyle Murray.
Me neither. I don't like him at all. And then they said,
they did their record last year. It was not a representation of how good they were. Yeah. I feel.
Do you see the stats that came out saying what Kyler Murray is before Call of Duty is released every year and what he is after Call of Duty is released?
No.
Did you see that?
No,
Oh
I
my
didn't.
god, it's hilarious. It's after Call of Duty is released every year, it's a huge drop off in performance for him.
So what you're saying is he's a hardcore Call of Duty fan. And
He is.
says fuck this $1 million job.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So the rest of the teams, when they're doing the research and watching tape on the Cardinals, they just look up the release date of Call of Duty and they're like, "All right, where are we playing them at? Oh, after the release, we're good. We're good."
Actually, I might want to change my AFC prediction.
Yeah. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking the Bengals. I'm thinking the Bengals might be coming back.
Gosh, it's so hard to. You almost forget about the Bengals talking about the Bills all the time.
Right.
The Bengals are legit.
The Bengals were nothing. What 3 years ago, and now they're a Super Bowl team.
Yeah, they're amazing. Nobody expected them to come out like that. I give myself a little bit credit going back to fantasy. I picked up Jamar Chase really early. Seeing, LSU guy going in, gonna play with his old LSU quarterback. I was like, this guy's gonna be good. He was so dynamic at LSU. And I picked him earlier in the draft than I probably had to.
Yeah.
But I just knew he was gonna be good.
Well, and
I didn't expect him to go in and show up Justin Jefferson's sophomore rookie season. Because he had like one of the best rookie seasons ever. And then Jamar Chase comes in and surpasses it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I got both Jefferson and Jamar Chase, and I would love to do something like that again, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, no one's going to be letting you get both of them in probably either of those drafts. Speaking of the draft, because yours is, you have one tonight, and then we have ours. What, next weekend? Yeah, next weekend.
Yeah, next Saturday, exactly a week from today. I can't wait.
Who do you think is going to go first overall in our league?
Player wise, I'm sorry.
Player wise. No, yeah. I'm not talking but team. I'm talking player wise. Who do you think is going first overall?
Okay, yeah, I was going to say like that would be as it stands without a 40-yard dash, that would be Cody, because he took up the last he was in 7th all the way up until the last game.
Yep.
Yeah, him and his brother were duking it out for the shittiest team last year, and they gave it hell. First overall, I think is pretty. I think it's pretty easy to say that's Jonathan Taylor from the Indianapolis Colts. That's I think that's pretty unanimous decision for most people. I think the wide receivers of last year are kind of screwing up that conversation though a little bit.
I've seen some drafts where usually you see the running back go first overall in any fantasy.
Most of the time, yeah.
This year I've seen Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase go in the first round.
Yeah.
Oh, first overall.
Yeah. Oh my God, that is wild. And I was hearing something earlier today where they were talking about like categorizing your players, right? Your running backs and your wide receivers. You've got your top, right? But you have what you call your hero, the hero ones. There's like 2 in each category. Your hero quarterbacks, your hero running backs, your hero wide receivers, right?
Yeah.
So quarterbacks, you'd have Josh Allen and
Aaron Rodgers,
and actually probably Justin Herbert. He's a fantasy machine too.
Yeah. Patrick Mahomes, I don't think Patrick he's a great quarterback. I don't think he's a great fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, he's top. He's high tier, but he's not top tier.
Not even Tom Brady is a good fantasy quarterback. He's a good quarterback, not a good fantasy quarterback. There's a difference.
Yeah, and I rolled with Brady all year last year, so that's. So with quarterbacks, you could argue there's 2 hero quarterbacks, and then there's 2 A quarterbacks, right? There's Joe Burrow, and then Jackson's up there too, but mostly for the running yards. He doesn't get those passing yards, so he doesn't get. He's not in that category. He's in the middle. But then you got your hero running backs, which are Jonathan Taylor and Christian McCaffrey.
Yep.
Obviously, because McCaffrey's a smaller guy, but he's both a running back and a wide receiver.
Yep. And see, that's where I think it's going to be a hard toss up between Jonathan Taylor and Christian McCaffrey. But I've seen on TikTok these things. It's like guy's getting ready to do his draft, and he's like, "Yeah, Christian McCaffrey's definitely not going to get here this season, first overall."
Yeah.
And see, that's where it comes down to. For first overall, I think. It's going to be hard. I would go with Jonathan Taylor if it were me, and I had first overall pick. I would go with Jonathan Taylor. Christian McCaffrey is great, but he has proven time and season that he can't stay healthy for the whole season.
Sure.
He'll come back, or he is really good for 6 out of your, what is it, 16 games this season?
17
17.
this season. Mm-hmm.
And so, he'll do good for 6, 7, 8, 9 maybe of those, but then he's out for the rest of the season.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, oh, well, now I got to go to the wire and get whoever I can. I'm going to get this quarterback.
Yeah.
This running back that I've never even heard of because all the good ones are already on teams.
Right. It's
and then you get people like me on fantasy who I was hoarding running backs.
You really were. It was a pain in the ass. I was quite irritated with you at one point.
Well, I had a good roster, so I had all these running backs on my bench as a fishing line.
Yeah.
Because I saw other players I wanted on other teams. So I'm like, oh, they're going to need a running back. Pick him off the wire, not even use him. Just have him sitting there so they can be like, hey, I'll trade you so. Oh, no, I want. Who had, I think it was Nick had Devontae Adams last season.
He did. Yeah.
And I tried several different offers for him.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
I like that tandem, That was one of the topics I had too. Is
it's an unfair tandem to have. Like, I'd almost not trade you that just so you don't have it.
Right.
But
I like having a quarterback and a wide receiver that's from the same team in my fantasy.
Yeah.
Because he passes to him. I'm doubling points. I'm not getting just points for my running back or my quarterback. I'm getting points for my quarterback and wide receiver.
Of course, yeah.
But I hoarded all these I had all these. I was like, Nick, you really need a good running back. All he had was shit. He didn't have anything in running backs.
He didn't have much, that's for sure.
I was able to. I offered him like this player and this player. I can't remember the running backs' names, and he's like, nope. And I'm like, fine, I will give you. At the time, I had Gronkowski right before he went out on injury, and he had got me like a 30-40 point game.
God, that was weird.
Back to back.
And that was unusual for him at that point.
And so I was like, oh, he's going to be good. So I was like, okay, he's going to be good for the rest of the season, which he wasn't. I ended up dropping him halfway through the season.
I remember.
And then he picked it back up.
Yeah.
No, you took Darren Waller from me.
Yeah, I traded you. That was pretty lopsided. Turned out. I should have kept. It was
the moment
Godwin.
Chris
Godwin.
Because you traded me Chris Godwin, and he just went
off. I know.
Ballistic with Brady, and I was like,
yeah,
fuck yes, this is a good team. And then Darren Waller didn't do shit.
Yeah, and that was really my only weak spot in the team. So I kind of had to do that because I was looking at Godwin like he's definitely my third receiver, easily my third receiver. So it was an easy choice to make, and it was a risk that I would take again. But
right now, because Darren Waller is good.
Yeah, he is. He's not as good as he thinks he is, but he's
he's
one of those never on the field guys, evidently. But yeah, I think going back to where we started with that, because of durability, you got to take Taylor first. Christian McCaffrey is more points per game.
Yes.
He will be more points per game. He's the best, one of the best fantasy players there's ever been. But once that stops, it's devastating to your team.
Yeah, you win 6 games, and now you're going to lose 10 more because you don't have that it factor
right
there anymore.
Because you don't have your superstar.
So there are three running backs that are just the ones that you want to go for. Well, in my opinion, you got Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, and Derrick Henry.
Right.
You don't get your top picks, which both of our top pick for running back is Jonathan Taylor. You don't get him. Who do you go for?
Who do I go for? Well, then I'm gonna. I was thinking about this a lot the last 3 days, and I've gone back and forth because I'm like the safe pick is Henry, but obviously now he's starting to show his wear and tear a bit. You know,
He
and the
is.
big guys always go down harder.
Yep.
The big guys always go down harder, but McCaffrey has a history, and he's what, a year or two older than Henry, but that hardly matters at this point. I think I'm going for the slam dunk, and I'm taking McCaffrey, and I'm gonna try and get that lead because last year I started out 0-4, and I had to dig myself out of that hole. And I think a huge factor in fantasy, obviously, you can't control injuries, so getting out ahead early
Yes.
is massive, and
Getting
McCaffrey's
ahead.
going to do that. So I think he's the guy that gets you ahead better than Henry, and then you have time to make up backup plans to replace him, right?
Agreed.
So that's where I go after that. And let's just say today I'm in an 8-man league. Let's say I go 4th or 5th, right? Where do you go there? Because if you're just averaging it out,
those three are going to be gone.
gone. Yeah, where do you go?
I would go Melvin Gordon.
You think?
The Broncos use him to punch into the end zone, so that's easy 6 points
Mm-hmm.
constantly. But then I would also want to say, Nick Chubb maybe. But he's been kind of meh lately too.
Well, and he's in a 2-back system too, with Kareem Hunt.
Well, and that's what Melvin Gordon is in too. He's in a 2-back system.
Exactly.
But the reason why I would go with Melvin Gordon is because Broncos utilize him at the goal line.
Right. And the thing that you got to be careful of is you got to look at the point structure in your particular league. Like most people are going PPR now, so like a non-catching back, kind of like Gordon, isn't getting those easy 1, 2, 3. Like those quick out the backfield points. He's not really much for that. Chubb is, Kareem Hunt is, and so you got that. And then it's like how many points per yard or per 10 yards or
I can't remember if I saw it. I'm pretty sure he's playing this year. Alvin Kamara.
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I missed something about him retiring. Alvin Kamara is always. That's who I had most of the season. I think I put him on IR. He got injured, right?
Yeah, and I actually picked Alvin Kamara 2nd overall 2 years ago. Me and Aaron, who's also in our league, we used to do a gentleman's agreement. It might not matter depending on where we're drafting at, but I agreed to not take this player if you agree not to take this player, and then that just kind of ups our chances a little bit, right, of getting the one that we want.
It takes that one extra person out of the out of the others.
And most of the time it actually worked out. It was crazy. But so he's a huge Giants fan, which is unfortunate for him. But he's a big Saquon guy, obviously. And so he kept going for him. And eventually, I just didn't even care anymore because that guy goes down harder than, he carries the team on his back. And that's why.
Saquon Barkley is not in my even choices of a running back.
Oh, no, he's not in the top 10. Sorry, I got a little bit sidetracked there. So going into the 4th or the 5th, right? I'm abandoning running back altogether.
You're going to go wide receiver.
Yeah, I'm going wide receiver. Outside
smart.
Of those top 3, I think you, depending on who you're talking to, you're going to go Cooper Kupp or you're going to go Justin Jefferson.
Do you think Cooper Kupp's going to make the numbers he did last year?
Not quite. I think that's a big ask.
I think he's going to be heavily guarded.
Sure. And then they picked up, did they pick up Allen Robinson? Right?
I think it was Allen Robinson. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to take a little bit away, but it's like we were saying, the best quarterbacks can spread it around, but Kupp's getting the majority of those looks for sure. So you either go Kupp or you go Jefferson. And honestly,
I'd go with Jefferson.
Me too. And we're seeing eye to eye on a lot of these things, but
and and it's mostly because I saw what he did for you last year,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, ugh, you had I think out of all the teams, you had the best wide receivers.
I think so. I think I had the best wide receiver core overall, and especially if I had kept Godwin from you, then it would have been no question.
The thing about
But-
Godwin though is Brady liked to spread it out. 'Cause 1 week Godwin wouldn't do anything
And
compared
Mark,
and
Mike
then,
Will,
Mike
Williams.
Evans. Mike Williams. Evans, yeah, Mike Evans. Mike Evans would have a stellar week.
And then Godwin would have a stellar week. And honestly, like I feel like Godwin's kind of working his way towards taking that number 1 spot from Evans.
I don't think so.
I think so. I think he's faster.
If you were to ask me who my favorite wide receiver is, it is Mike Evans.
really in the whole league,
In the whole league.
really, wow.
If you look at his production, this is pre-Brady.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone would be like, no, Mike Evans isn't that. I'm like, Mike Evans is a damn good wide receiver.
He is.
The numbers he put up with Jameis Winston and Fitzgerald,
Mm-hmm.
still amazing
Yeah.
compared to, and what Saints wide receiver? Fucking
Oh,
what was
Michael
his name?
Thomas.
Michael Thomas,
Yeah.
who I took a big chance on last season and picked him up. Obviously, no one drafted him because he was injured at the beginning of the season, didn't play near the end of the season, and we heard was coming back. So I took it was actually kind of smart because what I did is I saw him on the waiver,
Mhm.
picked him up. He still
Right.
said injury, so I was able to immediately put him on my IR
Mhm.
and then go back to the waivers and get someone else to.
Right.
So I picked up Michael Thomas. He ended up staying on IR, but I was like, it was a big chance. I was like,
You
if he
took a
comes-
chance.
if he comes
Yeah.
back, it's Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
But everyone was like, Michael Thomas is at the time he was candidate for best receiver in the NFL
He was.
with
he was up there.
With Breeze.
Uh-huh. He definitely got the most volume, that's for sure. I don't think everybody believed that he was the best at any point, but
Right, but he was. Well, it's because he was the only one Drew Brees that Breeze could pass to. That's why
Right.
he put up so many numbers. But people were like, Mike had this when I was looking at the field. I had this one guy. He's a diehard Saints fan,
right.
but he's like, Michael Thomas is the best wide receiver in the NFL. I'm like, no, dude, Mike Evans
Mike Evans. Yeah,
better than Michael Thomas, I think.
by far. By far.
And he's
He
like,
is-
no, look at the numbers. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Okay, you look at the numbers. Michael Thomas had maybe 200, 300 more receiving yards, but that was just to him.
Right.
That was the main target. You go to Tampa where they had all these other players. Tampa has such a wide receiver pool.
yeah.
I feel, and this was pre-Brady, and Brady was even when Brady got in, he spreads the ball out too.
yeah.
And so Fitzgerald spread out the ball, Jameis Winston spread out the ball, and Mike Evans still was only 200 less than Michael Thomas in receiving yards.
Well, and it's if you look at like the number of targets versus those yards, like your yards per catch would be so much smaller on Thomas, right? Like how it'd be minuscule compared to Mike Evans. And then the yards
And then-
after the catch,
yards
even
after
be close.
contact.
yeah.
Yards after contact was Mike Evans had more yards after contact than Michael Thomas did.
Yeah, it's
So-
not even close. Like I totally agree with you that he's in the top there. He's definitely at the top. I just feel like Godwin's coming for him.
I could feel it
Yeah.
too, but I think
He's younger.
I was about to say, is Godwin
Yeah.
better than Evans? Then yeah, I could see that.
I mean, neither one of them are like, fresh or anything like that. They've been
No.
they've been in and around for a while, but like it's just I think he's got him for speed. He doesn't have the vertical like he does, but I just think he's gonna become the favorite. Especially with no Gronkowski, that kind of thing. But
So is there a player in fantasy that you always try to go for?
always try to go for Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just if we're getting down to because who
And I'm
lasts
not-
that long other than
and
a
I'm not-
quarterback? You
So
know,
I'm not talking. No, I'm talking in your entire time in fantasy football.
mm-hmm.
Is there a player you always win for?
My entire time.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
If you were to say, okay, so let's go back to prime. Let's bring back all the players you can
Okay.
think of, and they're all in their prime,
Uh-huh.
and they play in. They're playing for 10 more years, and you got all these players in their prime playing for 10 more years. So you're doing 10 years of fantasy.
Okay.
Who will you try and go for every single year now?
Ooh. So I think there's two. Gosh, that's tough. So if you bring back all players, you go for. I think the easy answer there is I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Who do you play for?
Vikings running back.
Vikings running back.
Gosh, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank here. Hang on.
Because
God,
I'm
I
drawing
feel
a
so
blank
dumb.
too.
It's Adrian Peterson. God. Adrian
I don't know
Peterson.
why. Yeah, I don't know.
I just was well, it's like because it like matters because this is being recorded, so it's like why not sound like an idiot every now and then? But Adrian
Yeah.
Peterson is who was more consistent at running back for that long and that good. You know, you're talking the 2,000
Yeah.
yard season. Running backs obviously are the most impactful, especially in those fantasy days.
Agreed.
And then like I think a 1A to that would be Chris Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah, CJ2K, you know.
Yeah.
Which I hate to say a Titan at any point, but
I would
yeah,
too.
he was a Titan at that point, right? And then 1B would be Calvin Johnson, right? So it's
And so you're sticking with the running backs then.
yeah, up until the third one there, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, mostly sticking with the running backs. I think you take Adrian Peterson, just like that guy was in a tier all his own, you know. And I was kind of sticking to modern day there. It's like you could say like, oh, Bo Jackson. It's like fucking he didn't play in fantasy days, you know.
That was, I guess, it was implied for modern day when fantasy was a thing. Fantasy football, I mean, might have been
Some
when Bo
people,
Jackson played. But
some
it
people played it in the 90s. They did, and I have no
It
idea
was-
how they did it.
wasn't like it is now. Well,
No.
dude, your commissioner has to work hard. He has to
Work
watch
hard.
every game. He has to research every game. And how, when in the 90s internet was there, maybe, but
Awful.
not awful. It was like,
There's no way that I'm doing fantasy any time before 2008. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's
so I was going with the more modern age when
Yeah.
you do it online when
And-
these players were playing. And
I was basically thinking post 2005 pretty much, you know, just to put a line
If-
on it, but I'm
and
going
see,
Adrian Peterson.
I don't go with the running back or the wide receiver route. I go the quarterback route, and it's Peyton Manning for me.
Oh sure, yeah, and that name definitely popped in my head. You know, I remember the years I started playing fantasy was at his peak. Broncos, you know,
Same here.
God, people, whoever
And
had
not,
him
and not even Broncos. He
as a Colt too.
as a quarterback,
Yeah,
he takes his chances on his throws. There will be a few games where Peyton Manning will screw you because he will throw 4 or 5 interceptions.
there was that earlier on. You know,
But not even with the Broncos, he still had that issue. But that might not be him. It's more as
busted
receiver-
routes.
busted routes. His receivers not knowing
course.
what's what.
Yeah, and I totally agree. If you're going for somebody every year, that was the person that actually like jumped into my mind. Because I think my first fantasy season was the 2015 season. Somebody got him that year and just made us look stupid, right? And then I got him the next year, which was still really good
What round did you pick him up in?
first. And
First
that was
overall.
when I was not first overall, but like that was before I was as savvy in fantasy, because
That's
now if we're doing a fantasy draft, and somebody takes a quarterback in the first round, I'm positive that I'm beating that person.
Yep.
In the season. Yeah.
yep. That's
Without a doubt.
my first 2 years
Mm-hmm.
of fantasy. My first pick was a quarterback, and
Yeah.
because I wasn't as like you said, as savvy at football,
Yeah.
I still watched it. I enjoyed it, but until I started playing fantasy, I didn't like really pay attention to every single position in game.
Yeah.
You just go like, oh well, the Broncos or this team's my favorite team, and quarterbacks are the best player on the team.
Right.
I mean, they're the leader of the team.
It's an obvious mindset to have. Yeah. And then you
They're-
probably picked way too many Broncos, you know.
And that would, yep. So I had my first season. I had Peyton Manning. My draft order went this way. I had Peyton Manning, Wes Welker, which honestly, good combo there.
Good combo for sure. Yeah.
Not to take in my first 2 rounds, but when there was at that time there was still prime Adrian Peterson to be
Yeah.
taken, and in my league, because like I said, I just barely started in my league. The newcomer is the first overall
Yeah.
because they like to make fun of, hey, he's never played fantasy before. Let's see kind of stupid
Right.
shit he makes. So they see me, and this wasn't a snake draft, so it was at the start of the next round. I went first, no matter every time.
Every time. I did that one time ever. Yeah. That was
But so I was able to get all the players I wanted. I had Peyton Manning, I had Wes Welker, I had the Broncos defense, which, like I said, this was when Peyton Manning first came to the Broncos, and their defense was absolutely terrible.
yeah. So you just picked a defense. It wasn't with like any kind of reflection on what they might do.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
Well, I picked the Broncos defense because I loved the Broncos, and
Yeah.
they're going to win, and yeah, they were going to win.
But that didn't mean anything for fantasy. That's all like accumulative points.
Yeah,
You know.
so like your team could win by 10 points, but
Yeah.
if you're both at like 40 points and you win, and the defense allowed 40 points, you don't
Right.
get any points in fantasy. You might get negative points for that.
Yeah, you really could. Like I've lost games just on the defense before, you know,
I've lost games on the kicker.
Yep. And then I've won games with, you know, nothing to do with the main players. They got me just far enough. And then, like, you know, one year I had the Houston Texans defense, right? And I'm not shitting you. I've never even seen this after this. I got 30 points with them in one game. And this was years ago, so I don't remember the structure of the league or anything like that, but that was mind blowing at the time. 20 was really, really good.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
Hey,
kickers I swap out every week. I swap
Yeah.
out kickers every week.
Oh,
So not,
I'm always on the draft on the wire for kickers.
yeah.
I look at the matchups. I go, this kicker's going against this team.
Yep.
Flop those around because I want the extra 2 points I'm going to get from that kicker.
Yeah. And it's a safe gamble to make because you might lose 4 points from it, but you might gain 10, you know.
And I mean, last year, I guess, and last few years, if you were going to stay with a kicker, Brandon McManus was your man.
He was good. He was really good.
Well,
But
and I say that because
Broncos.
they couldn't get to the end zone. So
Mhm.
McManus was constantly just kicking field goals.
That's the funny part.
Which is not good for the team, but it's good for your fantasy. 'Cause
Yeah.
Brandon McManus will make you 15 points in field goals.
Right. Yeah. You don't want to necessarily have a kicker from a good team. They just,
Yep.
because then they're used for extra points. It was like if you,
So that's 1 point for your team. So,
yeah, if you had like Gostowski from the 2016 Patriots, is like that guy's not getting a lot of, he's not getting a lot of crazy shit in there. You know, it's
No.
like you want somebody that's kind of middle of the road, good enough to get close enough
Yep.
that it's makeable.
Exactly.
But you don't want anybody that's like on the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're not getting anywhere near that end zone. So you're not even kicking.
Yep.
If you could
Hey.
draft a punter, get the Jags punter.
Well, that just falls under defense, anyways, though. So.
Yeah.
Well, unless you get IDP. Well, I don't think IDPs even cover the punter.
No, I don't think so. And I've never played an IDP. That's just asking for a lot of my time.
That's I did 1 year, and I will never do it again because it was just too much time. Just
Yeah.
research, and it wasn't just like, okay, with the normal league, it's you can research the whole defense. No IDP, you have to research the fucking this edge rusher and this guy. Like, okay, who do I want to pick up out of this defense? You still draft a full defense,
Yeah.
but then you draft individual players from the defense.
God, that's tough because you're like obviously like at the top of that, you're like, oh, TJ Watt, you know, and then Joey Bosa and then Nick Bosa and then there's like 5 or 6 guys I could think that would be real difference makers.
Von Miller.
Von Miller.
Last year, no, but
and then Aaron Donald, and then Khalil
both
Mack.
those guys on the same team.
Yeah, that's
a nasty defense.
Yeah, there's some big. Gosh, that makes me rethink.
So you said NFC what time was your draft today?
4:30.
So we should probably be. Where is it here in Idaho Falls with us, or
yeah, it's just in Ammon. It's not that far away. I'm not too worried about it.
Okay. All right, cool. Just making. I don't want you to miss that and then start getting auto draft. Well, no, you guys said you did it off a board this year.
Yeah, and I think our draft itself starts at 5, but we're all making a point to get there at 4:30. So it's like
okay,
real ahead of time, that kind of thing. Like we got like 45 solid minutes left.
Okay,
if
good.
we wanted to. Yeah,
just wanted to make sure I'm not holding you up. And
oh no, believe me, I'm paying attention. We're good.
So there's some news around the league this year, or just now, that I was kind of wanted to touch on here. The big one, and it's been floating around. I've been seeing it on TikTok. Tom Brady, he's been absent from, and he said it's for personal reasons. He's been absent from every practice for 3 or 4 weeks now.
Really? So he didn't hit camp at all then?
Nope.
No training camp, no reps, no nothing.
I think he might have been there for the first little bit, but he said he is taking some personal time. Do you think Tom Brady is getting ready to actually retire?
Gosh, I can't imagine that he would do it at this point, where he retired and then unretired earlier this year, right? And he was like, retired. And then he's like, just kidding, I'm back. Like, so everybody's like, oh, he's back. He just turned 45, right? It was his 2 weeks ago. It's always he always said he was going to play till he was 45. That'd be cutting it short just a little bit, don't you think? He's got to at least start the season. That to me sounds like he's either wanting to play with people's minds a little bit, which Aaron Rodgers does admittedly when he was on the what podcast is that? The Chicago guys. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, he said admittedly he likes to mess with people a little bit, be a little bit abstract, and make people think things that aren't necessarily true. Him and Davante Adams even were in on one before Davante went to the Raiders. So either Tom Brady's pulling some shit like that, which he has been known to play with people a little bit in the past.
He has, yeah.
Or it would be unfortunate, like maybe he has something really real going on in his family.
I hope not.
Yeah, me too.
I really hope it's mind games, or that he's considering. And right now, he's in contract with Tampa, but maybe he's talking to other teams right now.
See, they would have to.
I don't see that either because he has a good team in Tampa right now.
That wouldn't make any sense. It wouldn't make any sense at all. The only team that he would even allow them to trade him to would be the 49ers, but that doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Oh man, I would hate to see him go to the Niners.
Right? But like that's his hometown team, is like where him and Rodgers both wanted to go,
Rodgers wanted to go to the Broncos too.
Yeah, he did. There was some I feel like that was a tad overhyped, but like, there was appeal to it.
I was you saw me all year.
Yeah, and I was
hoping for it.
Oh, you were hoping so hard. And I was trying to reel you in a little bit, be like, dude, don't, Green Bay is going to do everything they can to keep him. Everybody was saying, where does Rodgers play next year? And I was like, he's going to play in Green Bay. Don't worry about that. But you had called it. Yeah.
Like, it's obvious, like Green Bay is going to pay the money to keep a quarterback like that. They're going to, But the fact that it was a discussion on the table of you get Aaron fucking Rodgers,
Yeah.
or you get Jimmy Graham. Oh God, fuck, or Jimmy Graham, Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Jimmy Graham wouldn't be bad. I guess he's a pretty decent tight end.
Where is he right now?
Dude, I don't know. I think he might have retired. Last I saw, he was Saints.
Saints, really? Because he started with the Saints. That's where he was really good, and then he went to the Seahawks.
Seahawks. I think he's still with the Seahawks. Or I think he retired from the Seahawks.
No, because he went from the Saints to the Seahawks to the Packers, and then somewhere from there. But oh my God, there's a theory
is
that
free agent.
Free agent. Okay, yeah. I mean, he's a role player for sure, but nobody really cares to get him unless it's for basically free.
He used to be.
Was I right about all those teams? I bet it was.
He played for the Packers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, he went.
That one I didn't know.
Oh, you didn't? Yeah, it was Saints, Seahawks, Packers, and after that, I wasn't sure. Oh, he was with the Bears. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he did play with.
Mm-hmm. That
with
one
the
I
Bears,
don't remember what. Maybe it was Saints, Bears, Seahawks, Packers. I can't remember, but he was super impactful for like 2 years.
Yeah,
and then just went away.
Well, he was impactful with the Seahawks. I know that.
Yeah. And the biggest conversation around him then was, what race are you? Because nobody cared about his game at that point, but really,
right.
I gave that a Google once. I figured it out. But dude.
Anyways, back to what I was saying there is with the Broncos, I was like, you can have Aaron fucking Rodgers, or you could have Russell Wilson, great option, which they ended up going with.
Yeah. I thought the Colts were going to go for him.
Or you could have Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Who out of those three, I already know my order. I set up in that order.
Mm-hmm.
Rodgers, Wilson, Garoppolo.
Absolutely.
You're not gonna be like, fuck yeah, we got Jimmy Garoppolo. Though when he did leave the New England, I was like, he's gonna be great. He was studying under Tom Brady.
Oh, dude, they really hyped him up, didn't they? Oh, so much.
I hyped myself up. Like, I was like, dude, he studied under. I hate Tom Brady, and I hate Tom Brady because he wins. Because he wins.
Yeah, me too.
A great quarterback, and I hate him because he wins so much. I hate seeing him in the Super Bowl. I absolutely hate it because, who's playing the Super Bowl? Oh, Tom Brady. Oh,
versus whoever. And it's so irritating and it gets so old. But I like Tampa Tom better. I really did. But so with Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy Garoppolo is like saying, oh, we got Jimmy Garoppolo, is just like saying, oh, we got Carson Wentz. It's the same. Almost across the board. It's the same. But I had Carson Wentz. I hated all of last season. Hated it.
You guys almost, the Colts barely missed the playoffs.
I know, but it was like,
but that was on Jonathan Taylor's back.
Yeah, that was on Jonathan Taylor's back. I mean, there was a couple times that Carson Wentz showed flashes of brilliance, right? But then he just showed flashes of dipshittery that I've never seen before in my life. Yep. And it just it was kind of like I knew we had a chance to be in the playoffs, and they most of that team deserved to be in the playoffs, but I just knew it wasn't going to work out because of who he had at the helm.
Exactly.
And it was just when you don't even believe in yourself, Yeah. It's pretty rough. Like that. This is when I knew. This is exactly when I knew the season was over. When Carson Wentz was in the pocket, it broke down. He runs forward, goes to make a pass as he's getting tackled, and just throws it 6 feet into the gut of the defense. And I was like, this season's torched, dude. We're not getting past this. We can't overcome his mistakes.
Oh, I got a story similar to that.
Have you seen that video?
Yes, I did.
It was awful. That's when I give up.
No. The first year Broncos went to the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning. The very first Broncos snap.
Oh, yeah.
I did not care about the Super Bowl after that.
Because you just felt it.
I felt it. I'm like, we're not winning this. When I saw that ball go over his head on the snap, I was like, "Yep, Broncos are losing the Super Bowl."
that was the end of it. I
And
believe that too. Yeah.
I just it was gutted. I gutted me. I was like, and I had one of my friends over who's a diehard Seahawks fan.
Oh no,
Dude,
really?
I wanted to kill him.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because he wasn't like, fuck you, rubbing it in my face. He saw that I was upset. And so he was just like,
He was quiet.
he was quiet, but he was still cheering when things were going good for him. He was
Yeah.
just like, woo. But he wasn't like, fuck you, we're winning. He saw it was just, and just I watched the entire game. So it was just a progression. He just
Right.
saw it getting worse and worse and worse. And then, what was it, like third quarter, I got up. He's like, are you going to get a drink? I'm like, no, I'm going to my fucking room.
Yeah, because you could sit there and take a loss, but not just a shellacking, right? It was just like,
Yeah, it wasn't a loss. It was Broncos have they're one of the most, or have been to the Super Bowl, one of the more than not any other team, but one of the most constant teams in the Super Bowl.
right.
But they're also about 50-50 for winning or just getting completely blown the fuck out.
Yeah, exactly.
When the Broncos lose the Super Bowl, they don't just lose the Super Bowl. They don't go to it. They're there, but they're not there.
That's the unfortunate part. It's like you made it to the Super Bowl 8 times, and a couple of those times you just came out with a red ass, and it's not fun. You know, it's fun to talk about how many Super Bowl trips. I think they're equal to the Patriots in Super Bowl losses with 5.
Let's see here. So the most Super Bowl appearances,
That's the Patriots, right?
with 11.
Yeah.
But then Pittsburgh, Dallas Cowboys, and Denver Broncos are at 8.
Yeah. So the Cowboys won 5, lost 3. Pittsburgh's won 6, lost 2.
Broncos have won 3,
Lost
5.
Yeah. And the Patriots have lost 5 as well, right?
That I don't know about. On this is just telling me
Yeah.
appearances.
Because they lost to the 85 Bears. And they
Lost to the Giants.
Lost to the Giants. I'm thinking earlier than that, though, because the 90s Broncos played who?
Packers was one of them.
Was the Patriots another one?
No.
No, okay.
They can't play the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Oh God, it's AFC. I was in God, I brain farted there. I hate it when I do that.
Broncos, I can't remember what order it was in. I think it was they beat the Packers, then they beat the Falcons back to back. So
Yeah.
And then 20 years later,
Right.
they beat Carolina for their 3rd Super Bowl win.
Right. That was Tom Brady's first win too. Was Carolina in the Super Bowl, which is like, of course you were going to win that, right? I think it was Carolina.
I have no idea.
Yeah. No, or it was the Rams.
Rams.
That's right. They played the Greatest Show on Turf Rams. That should have been like at the time predicted to be like the first 3-peat team, right? And they only won 1, right? And that was the insane part.
So that's the thing is right now there is no team I would consider being a 3-peat team right now. Oh shit.
Yeah, we thought the most recent team that we thought could do it was the Chiefs. You know, they won that first one, and then they got back and we're like, oh my God, here it goes. Here's the next great dynasty, right? And that they're still in that conversation, but they're not like a dynasty.
Like people I can't think of any team right now that has the chance of 3-peating. Because I don't think even the Bengals could 3-peat. I don't think even the Rams are going to 3-peat.
I think
the Rams have a good team, and I could see the Rams going back to the Super Bowl and winning it this year. Not another year, because you have players like Aaron Donald, and Von Miller who are very good.
Yeah,
but they want one thing: they want money.
Yeah,
and lots of it.
And I can't blame him for that.
No, I can't blame that.
But
I do miss the time when a player was drafted with the team, got good with the team, and stayed with that team until they retired.
I do too. That's what we all want, especially when you've got like a franchise player like Peyton Manning, and then, things like the neck surgery happen and it becomes like you know, a lot of fans were angry, but it was the smart decision to let him walk and kind of know that you're going to take a bunch of shit that season and then get a guy like Andrew Luck, but
Yeah.
it only makes sense business wise. But we like to see like a Brian Urlacher, or a Walter Payton. Oh shit, I just named 2 Bears back to back. But
Dan Marino.
Dan Marino, yeah, who was definitely supposed to be a Steeler, but
Well, I mean, do you know who John Elway was supposed to be?
a Colt.
A Colt.
Yeah. But it was just like
He refused to play for him. He's like, he got drafted by the Colts, and he said,
fuck you.
He said, no.
Oh, dude, I don't blame him. That was when they were still in Baltimore, and they were garbage then, and that's why they, ultimately made the move.
Nothing's changed.
I mean, they got a couple appearances and 1 win since then.
Yeah.
Nothing. But
one they've had. If you were to rank the 2, like just say not rank, but say the 2 best quarterbacks the Colts have ever had, who would you say they were? I already know one of them.
Yeah. Well,
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning. And a lot of people would want me to say Johnny Unitas, but it's not true. Andrew Luck is the second best.
Do you know who I would say? He only played 1 season with you guys.
Oh, let's see here. Was it? Now I got to think back. Phillip Rivers.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's not because he did great with you guys, but he was
pretty solid. Yeah.
No, he was a good quarterback still.
Uh-huh.
He might not. It wasn't. You didn't get prime Phillip Rivers.
No, we didn't. And I always loved Phillip Rivers. I always kept him as my backup on fantasy.
He is a fantasy fucking machine.
He really was. Yeah.
When he was my first quarterback that I always went for when I learned fantasy. It was like, Phillip Rivers is one of my quarterback. Like, oh, why don't you pick up Tom Brady? I'm like, Tom Brady fucking sucks on fantasy. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Good quarterback, but I want a good fantasy quarterback.
Exactly.
But Phillip Rivers doesn't win. I'm like, yeah, but Phillip Rivers passes 1,800 million times a fucking game, and it might be like a bunch of 1-yard dump passes, but those fucking add up when he does it every fucking play.
Well, and then he'll have the 50 yards in the air pass too.
Yeah.
He was the closest thing that we've had to Brett Favre since Brett Favre.
Yeah, I like Brett Favre, but I don't like old Brett Favre when he's like, I retire. I'm just kidding. I'm going to come back and play for them
6 times.
How many times he retired? Was 6 times?
I don't know. That's what it felt like.
I think it was only twice, but yeah. I mean,
he went to the Vikings for that season, and then what did he play there for a few years? And I think he retired twice from the Vikings, and then he went to the Jets, and then it was just like, dude, you're really kind of ruining this for us, like your legacy. Which he didn't, but
I think he just came back because he retired, and he realized, ooh, I don't have quite enough money to let me live as comfortably as I want.
Yeah, because he wasn't like getting the kind of money like they are today. That's for sure. Like when did he actually end up retiring? 2010, 9, 10, something like that. But like he had a good run.
Yeah, it was 2010, I believe.
Yeah,
because I remember when he had that video made for the Broncos game when Peyton Manning passed his touchdown record.
Yeah. That was pretty cool.
He's sitting there and he's like hunting or something. He's like, well, I don't give a shit about playing football anymore. But hey, Peyton, congratulations. You passed my record. I might have to come back and kick it back.
Yeah.
And then he looks out the window. He's like, but I'm not going to.
That was the first time we all went like, holy shit, Brett Favre's totally gray,
Oh, like gray.
But going back to what you were saying, like, yeah, definitely, like, if he had managed to get a longer run without injuries, like Andrew Luck was.
I liked Andrew Luck.
He was the man, dude. He was so great. I loved him. He was strong. He was fast. He was athletic. He was a lot like Josh Allen. And
He's goofy looking, caveman looking motherfucker though.
yeah, but he was but Stanford educated, you know,
He was smart.
super
he just
smart.
He just didn't look smart. Like, you just looked at him. He had a neck beard.
He started a book club while he was still in the league.
You're kidding me.
Seriously, yeah. He had a
That's
weekly book. I'm like, you read a book in a week? Like, that's not me. That's for sure. But hey, do you think you could hold down the fort for like 2 minutes?
Oh, what are you gonna do?
I gotta take a leak so bad.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay,
Grab me a beer on your way back in.
I will.
So, Mr. Blake. I'm not gonna call him Mr. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna talk about What am I gonna talk about? That's the thing. I'm not good at this whole solo podcasting thing off the rip. So I got this one isn't. I just fucking lost it. There it is. Fantasy predictions. So in our league here for fantasy, I'm thinking we have an 8-man league, and we had one player auto draft last season, and he went to the championship on an auto draft. Granted, he knows his football and he did everything after the fact. So he's got that football mind. So I could see, his name's Dylan, Blake's brother. I could see him going back to championship round again this year. I could see Blake in the championship still. He knows it. Blake knows his football. He just had a real rough start to last season. He had like he was saying earlier, had a 0-4. Well, I had a 4-0. So, but I think for fantasy this year, I could see Blake's brother being in the championship and possibly winning it. And welcome back. Well, when he gets his ears on. Thank you.
There we go. So, what'd you come up with?
Oh, I was just talking about fantasy predictions for our league.
I'm intrigued. What do you think?
Kind of who's going to go to the championship again?
Sure. Okay.
And one of my top runners for going to the championship is Dylan.
Okay. Yeah.
Because like last year, he's going to have to do it again this year. He had to auto draft. He just let the computer choose for him.
Yeah. Yeah. He did.
And he still made it to the championship. Not on the team he auto drafted with, but he hit the waiver wires, and he built a team after the fact that still brought him to the championship.
Yeah, I was proud of him. He did really well.
So I could see him making it back there.
And then I
said you.
Okay.
Or because you had a real rough start last season.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had the exact opposite.
Right.
The first 4 weeks of the season, I was number 1.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
I was 4-0, and then I proceeded to go 6 games straight losing.
Yeah, that's right. And I think I may have handed you 2 losses in there. Luckily, but I did manage to really dig myself out of a hole there. So that was, I guess that speaks to me a little bit. But
yeah,
Joey, JT as we call him, it says Joey on there, so that throws me off. But JT
throws me off so hard too.
I think he had probably the best luck as far as lack of injuries, and that's part of why he got there. Not to say that he didn't do well. He did very well. He picked very well. He drafted probably for the season. He probably drafted overall the best, and
he did too.
He didn't have like anything like really super great, just solid guys top to bottom. Didn't lose a lot. I think he ended up going. Man, he was getting up there towards 10 wins without a loss. And I was like, God,
yep.
He was pissing me off so much, but he was doing so well. You couldn't be mad at the guy. And just had a essentially flawless season.
And Dylan, and I thought it was out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like we get JT in, and I'm like, oh, he knows nothing about football. Well, because we never talked to him about it.
Right.
And you know what? He might not know anything about football, but what he does know is how to fucking research at the very least.
Yeah. He played fantasy real good. And then some of the cockiest guys, my own cousins, you know, who have done well in the past, really flopped this last year. And I think that's just luck of the draw. Sometimes it's how the injuries shake out. Sometimes you don't predict as well as you think, and like somebody has to lose, right? Somebody has to come in last place.
Yep.
And so like between them, I don't know how well either of them were really focusing on it, but it seemed like there was a lot of good moves. There was effort. You know, Cody had the most waiver pickups out of every team last year.
No
Did
shit.
you know that? Yeah, because he was rolling in the bottom half, and he was doing the work, man. He was trying. He was trying. And Tyler overall was the worst team last year because he only had like 3 wins, and Cody had like 5. But then in the last game of the season, Tyler beat him, so that took his ranking. But you know,
yeah. See, let's see, JT. He was the Boston Pink Sox, right?
yeah, that's Boston Pink Sox. We had some creative names last year, I think.
He went 11-4.
11-4. That's unbelievable. Good for him.
I'm looking at the Hall of Fame on our league right now.
Uh-huh.
Most team points. You have it.
Oh, did I?
Pussy Teeth
Pussy Teeth, yeah.
with 196.78. You almost broke 100 or 200 points
Per game.
Yep. And
Damn.
then most player points, one of your players, Jamar Chase, with 55.6.
Damn.
And who held that for? And I remember who held that position for the longest time in our league was Derrick Henry.
Yeah, he did.
And I remember that game because Derrick Henry I forgot who had Derrick Henry. I think it was Aaron. Was it Aaron that had Derrick Henry?
I think Dylan did.
Was it Dylan? I can't remember.
Dylan had Derrick Henry. Yeah, it was Dylan.
Whoever had Derrick Henry faced me that week, and I just was watching him go off. And I didn't want to check fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
But after this huge gain, I was like, okay, I'm gonna check fantasy. And none of my players had even played yet. And I just see fucking like, what was it? It was like 48 points. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah. I think at one point Dylan scored over 100 points between 2 players.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just looked at it. But the funny thing is I ended up winning that week because Derrick Henry went off, but all his other players had probably some of the worst performances of their week.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of my best weeks. Aaron Rodgers came in and had a
great
4 or 5 touchdown game. So I was just like, I thought
Dylan, as well as he does year in and year out, has had more heartbreaking losses than I've ever seen. One time, me and Dylan were competing, and it had huge playoff implications. This was before you got into the league, right?
Yeah.
And I was playing him for whatever reason. No matter how well Dylan does in a season, and no matter how bad I do, Dylan has never beat me in a singular game of fantasy football. And
really,
the worst one of those coming 3 years ago, I can't remember. His first year in the league with me, we were playing. He went off, right? Goes off, and I was like, I don't even have a chance. Then I have some guys go off, and then it comes down to his last couple players, and then it comes down to I have 2 players, and I need 26 points, something like that, and I end up winning this game by 0.1 points.
Holy shit.
0.1 points. And Dylan couldn't stop talking about it for a week. Somebody was like, oh, I lost by only 5 points. I only lost by 2 points. He was like, I lost by a tenth of a point. He was
like,
so
I lost by half a yard.
Because he was 0.1 points away from at least saying that he's tied me.
Mm-hmm.
But in our, I don't know, 3, 4, or 5 years fantasy football, he hasn't. He pointed this out to me last year. I wasn't keeping track of it. He hasn't beat me once yet. I think that might change this year.
Honestly, so I'm looking at our rankings from last year,
Mm-hmm.
and just looking at it, I could see it mostly panning out exactly the same way.
Yeah.
JT can pull off what he pulled off last year. Yeah, I could see JT pulling off first or second.
Yeah.
Dylan first or second. Nick, I don't see Nick placing in the top 3 again this year.
Nick was.
I really think he lucked out.
I think he did too. Honestly, I think
Aaron, I could see him in the top 3. I could see in the top 3. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but I could see me being in the top 3.
Oh, for sure. Like if you're talking in our league specifically, like the most how do I word this? Like probably the most well versed in fantasy football in itself would probably be Aaron, you, me, and
Dylan.
Probably Dylan. Yeah, like that.
I would even put JT in there because he proved himself.
He proved himself, but that was just one season. So that I'm going off of like,
and it was his first. It was his first season, wasn't it?
No, he's played before, just not in
Okay.
the league. But like every person in that team is knowledgeable of the game. I'm just saying, like as far as like fantasy, like I've got a championship under my belt.
I've got one under my belt.
Yeah, Dylan's never finished below the top 3.
And
So
my championship was in a 16-man league.
that's insane.
So
Yeah,
that took, but that's still nothing because my like I told you the other day, my dad has several championships in 32-man leagues,
Mhm.
and in 32-man leagues, you were researching how players sleep and breathe at night.
Because that's what you need to do to finish in a league like that. And that's insane. I would never play that. I've actually got 2 championships under my belt. One was a little funky because we fucked up the settings on the app, and it just kind of like kept going, even though half the players weren't even. So I ultimately won that. It was anticlimactic at best, but it was there. But yeah,
one true win.
It was a true win, but it was gross. It felt gross. I don't even really like talking about it, but it was what it was. And then one where I finally have screenshots of the trophy and shit. That was on the ESPN app, which is actually really good. But those are between those guys. I think this is a real battle. And kind of going back to my league that's drafting today, these are 8 guys that pretty much all of them are at least have been a commissioner or are commissioners of their own leagues. Guys that take it really seriously. So I'm like,
I really wanted to try to get into that league this year.
Yeah, and I was actually last minute trying to get you into it, but I couldn't quite finagle it.
You said they're an 8-man league. They probably have all 8 men, so that is what it is. If the spot wasn't open, and that's
right.
That's how the dice rolls.
I was talking about you yesterday.
At the same time, I don't know if I could do 2 leagues because I was telling you about that the other day. I don't. Hold on. You can still hear me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. My computer just went to sleep. I had to break it back up. I had to. Sorry, that just totally derailed me. Okay, so two fantasies. I just can't do it because I'll be researching one league.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, and like, and then I'll get to my other league. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna pick up so and so. They were available. I go there, like, no, it says Beef Rockets has got him.
Yeah.
I swear no one had him. No, I was thinking of the other league
right.
where no one had picked up this running back or this wide receiver or this kicker or whatever.
I find that so far, this is my second time being in 2 leagues at once, which the first time I swore I'd never do it again. Because it was just starting to mess me up. And like you said, like I'd forget. And I was started out really well in one and really bad in the other. And then like my friend that I was in it with was like, do you need help with this? I was like, no, I don't need any help. And I ended up getting second place. And so that was cool in like a really, really pretty stout league. It was a 10-man or a 10 team league. And so I did pretty well. And then in mine, I did really well. I think that was the year that I got my first win. But so I swear I'd never do it again because it took so much time. But I think one of the keys is having them on separate apps. I think that really helps the way that you think about it.
And it could, because fucking trying to switch between leagues on this fantasy app. It is
That's
it is
tough.
hard. It is hard because
It's not like switching between multiple Instagram accounts, which is really easy. Apparently, I don't myself have to, but we're on the NFL fantasy app, which is probably the number one fantasy app. I would think there's Yahoo, there's ESPN.
Honestly, I would say Yahoo might be above the fantasy app.
Do you know what's funny? I'm not talking
the
like
reason, the reason
how
I
good
like
it is.
The reason I like this fantasy app is you have Verizon, right? No,
No.
but you don't. Oh yeah, you don't. But so if you see here up in the corner,
Yeah,
it says live. If I hit that live button,
you got football.
I got football. Well,
Not right
it,
now.
it, won't,
but
it won't show the it won't show the preseason games, but it will show. Oh no, it will show this game. Oh, I was like, Commanders at the Chiefs. Who the fuck are the Commanders? Oh,
the commies.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, that's
you
right.
Get some games on here if you got Verizon, but
Because I can sit there and watch the games, and
That's
then
pretty
also
rad.
scroll through and look at.
mm-hmm.
So I can look at every team and how they're doing.
And this is Yahoo.
No, this is fantasy.
Oh, okay,
Like,
yeah.
I
So
can-
you
I
got that
can-
too.
Up here, I can watch the game
Mm-hmm.
as I'm looking at, and
And
then
I've got-
below it will show the fantasy week, and I can scroll through every matchup and be like, okay, how's so and so doing with this? So then I can research players as they're playing
Yeah, which is way
that
cool.
are on other players' teams
Yeah.
or players that are on other teams, and be like, oh, so this guy's doing really good, and this guy's doing really good, and I liked watching that when I traded the day after I traded you Darren Waller. I watched that game, and I was watching you. I was just like, huh.
Huh.
Last week he got me 30 points. This week he gets Blake
6.
0.5. 0.5.
Yeah, that was terrible.
He had one touch. No, he had 2 touches and like 10 yards.
Yeah, it was terrible. I was like, this was an awful decision. But the fantasy app thing, like I think NFL is probably the number one used one.
For sure.
Not saying that's the best. I like ESPN a lot. But the one I'm using in this league, it's called the Sleeper app, which is odd. But it looks like pretty damn in depth. It's pretty wild.
I've only played on 3, no, just 2 actually. Because before we went to this fantasy, well, I did one other league on the fantasy app the year previous to ours.
Yeah.
But before that, it was all Yahoo.
Yeah.
And that's what my dad plays on, and he really likes Yahoo.
I think I started on Yahoo a little too early because I used Yahoo once, like in 2016, and I hated it. I hated it so much.
Well,
but
they
I
haven't
think,
changed much, and I think that's what my dad likes about Yahoo is it's still got pretty much the same exact interface as it's had since it started.
Yeah. I thought it was clunky, but this was years ago because like everybody that I say like I didn't like the Yahoo app, they're like nobody says that. I'm like maybe I need to give it another shot, but like why fix it if it ain't broke? I like
Right.
our league. This is the first time I've ever had a league and then had all 8 teams come back the next year. First time ever. That's
Yep.
never happened before. So I like that. So I want to stay consistent with that. Then we have our Hall of Fame. We have like real accolades and a real.
Yeah. So did everybody get you their $20 in for the?
No, that'll be on. Did you see that I'm like messaging on the app itself now?
Yeah. Did you not see the reply I made to
Oh
yours?
yeah, you actually did reply. That's right. But I need my trouble is getting everybody to respond in a timely manner. You do, Nick does. That's pretty much it. Aaron does. So
Well, three of them are family members. So you should.
I know they're the biggest pain in the ass to talk to.
Because I wanted to do a $20 buy-in for this one, and if you can't buy in,
Yeah, no.
sorry, you can't play. Let's find someone that can do it. Because I want some tangible
reasons to win this game, win this
Like,
league. Yeah.
I'm still, even if we weren't playing for money, I want to do as hard as I did last year. And I'm gonna brag and I want to shit talk just like I did last year. But this year, if we put money towards it, I feel like it will make the people who
Try harder.
try harder.
Yeah.
Because I know Tyler had was it Tyler or Cody that's the nurse?
Cody.
Cody.
Yeah.
And he works some fucking
crazy
awful,
hours.
crazy hours. So he can't really. Like, it's hard for him to commit. Like not necessarily commit, but
Yeah.
it's
But-
harder for him to research and.
Yeah.
But he still did it.
He did
And
it.
so-
And I came to realize this year, after the third time that he called me in the middle of the day on a Wednesday or a Thursday at like 11:45 in the morning, he'd go like, "What are you doing?" And I go like, "I'm working." Like he was like, "Oh," and I'm like, "That's normal right now, dude." Like, what are you talking?
That's
And
a normal
he was like-
time to be
he
working.
was calling it get me to go golfing, you know, and I'm like, I'm starting to realize you have maybe a little bit more free time than I thought, you know, like his schedule is nuts, obviously, but he has the time to put into it for sure. So us that are more like to get up before dawn and, you know, work a blue collar job, like I think we have it more structured to where we fit it in, but
Right.
everybody
That might be
everybody
just-
has the ability. Dylan has the least amount of time by everybody by far because he's working 2 gigs, but
Yeah.
he still got to the championship off of an auto drafted roster. So I think there's no excuse. So I think mostly everybody's agreed to the $20 buy-in. I just need confirmation that they saw it, because there's been times in the past where they were like, "Oh, there was a buy-in." I'm like, I messaged all of you guys, like, and
Like
and it
we're, all
gets-
in we're all in the app. Like
Yeah.
I respond to almost every message that
I
comes
appreciate
through.
that. Yeah, because the most irritating thing as a commissioner is making sure that everybody knows what you're talking about. Because if they don't respond, you
Exactly.
don't know that. So being a commissioner is an actual job, because you know, you're playing fantasy. You got to put time into your roster, especially if you got 2 leagues. But then also you got to manage the rules, make sure everybody knows that you made changes, or that there's a punishment, or that there's a buy-in, or whatever you want to do with your league.
Exactly.
And it is time spent, you know, so it's like half the time I'm spending on my own team wanting to win, and then trying to look legitimate, and then also making sure everybody else is fairly recognizing what's going on.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I hate, like, there were the first 2 years, like I wasn't the best at it because I just took it a little bit lightly, which it is just a game at the end of the day. But now I take it really seriously. Like, I get ahead of things by weeks. Like I was posting about the draft, like, what, a month ahead of time this time? Like, it was,
Yeah. Like I know last season, but I don't know when you got me into it last season.
it was pretty, I was pretty late on everything the last 2 years. And so I
Okay.
swore to myself I wouldn't do it again. So, you know, our draft is in 1 week. I think I've been speaking to you guys for about 2.5, 3
Everyone
weeks. So
should
far.
know. Everyone
They
should know.
So
But I haven't seen Cody or Tyler.
I'm calling them this weekend individually and being like, look, you guys Venmo me
'Cause-
$20 right now.
Well,
So,
even if that doesn't happen,
yeah.
I want there to be a cash prize for number. Are we doing number 1, 2, and 3, or number 1 and 2, or just winner takes all?
I like winner takes all. I
I
don't
like
think
that
there
too.
should be a prize. At
I
one
like-
point we
I like winner takes all, and bottom of the pack has to do something fucked up.
Yep. And I used to think like maybe second place doesn't pay or whatever, but I was like, that's getting cute. Like, second place lost 2, you know. But if you made it to the championship, there's an argument like, yeah, you made it to the show.
You get your $20 back.
Yeah, which I
We
think
could,
is fair.
we could do that. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
fine with that.
Okay,
You
so
just get
that's
your-
probably
your
what we'll
20
do.
You get your $20 back, and then
Everybody
like
else
you didn't. Everybody else paid. You're the only one who didn't.
pay, yeah, because you made it to the show. So I think that's fair. It's like, what hurts more than losing in the championship? You know, Dylan can thank Najee Harris for that last year, because Dylan was gonna win
You
Gonna
must
win
too. You
until
must
that
too.
last run. And I thought the Steelers were going to take a knee on that game.
I thought so too.
I thought they were taking a knee, and I was like, I was about to call Dylan, like, you won. And then they handed it off, dude, and he busted through that line so fucking easy and just took it to the house. And I was like, oh my God, he lost. Like, that was it. Like, I was devastated
Yep.
for him. I was devastated for him. I honestly was, like, because Dylan,
And I was watching that same exact game. And I
Yeah.
was just like, oh no.
because as good of a
Oh,
fantasy history as
no.
Dylan has, he deserves. He's like that guy that never got it. He's the Dan Marino. You know, he
He was the guy, but he just never got
Got
the
it.
prize.
yeah, got to the show once, never got the chip, you know? So it's like, I think Dylan's got obviously a lot of time
Yeah.
to get fantasy
I feel like
championships.
that too.
I feel it's inevitable that he wins one, but that was the toughest
think-
loss I ever saw.
He might have the year of his career this year.
But I've never been more positive that the right two teams got to the championship because it literally came down to the last play.
It did. Oh, it did.
Yeah. So,
It did.
you
So
know,
I got one more topic I think we can cover. We're
Sure.
sitting here at 2 hours. This is a pretty easy one. If you could go to one game this year, what game would it be and why?
Ooh.
No, I'm regular season. A
Regular
regular season game
season.
because we don't know who's going to be in the playoffs, who's playing who in the playoffs.
Right.
So it's going to be regular season.
Yeah. Let me take a look here and see.
I'm going to let you answer first. I already have.
You got yours.
I got mine. I already know.
Let me think. If I could go to, let's see here. Let me look up one thing here really quick with not too much dead air. Because that there's a lot of right answers to that, I think, you know. So let's see here.
For me, there is one answer I have, and it is in week 5.
Week 5, huh? Let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope. Okay, so we're not on the same page. I can already tell. But it would. Ooh, this one's intriguing. Without a lot of research to this, because that could change my answer if I dug deep into it.
Right. Of course.
At any point that this is a secondary thought. At any point that the Chiefs meet the Chargers, I would love to see that. But right now, January 2nd, 6:30 p.m., the Bills.
So that's going to be week 17.
This week 17, the Bills play the Bengals.
Ooh.
And I think that might be a legit badass game.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I might go with that.
You were going for 2 hard-hitting teams, fucking 2 Super Bowl caliber teams going up against each other.
Yeah, like some real.
Okay.
Yeah, and depending on like how they end up doing throughout the season, that could have implications on how cool that game actually is. But I can see that being really, really good. Wow me now with your pick.
It's not a big wow. Week 5, it's Colts in Denver at Empower Field. So
that was too obvious.
So it's close by.
Yeah.
And the reason why I want to choose that one is it's the only time they're meeting close by.
Yeah.
Well, it's still Denver. That's still a 6-7 hour drive from
Sure.
here, but that's a lot closer than Indianapolis.
It is. Yeah.
And I don't like going to games by myself. I like taking someone with me, and I like taking someone with me to a game that they want to see. And I know you would love you've never seen the Colts live.
No, I haven't, and that kills me, honestly. Like, it kills me that I never saw Andrew Luck play. Like, Peyton was.
I saw getting to see Peyton Manning play was the best thing of my life.
Exactly. And I missed that opportunity, and I missed the second opportunity. I was too young in the Peyton days. I was never going to make it. Like, I didn't have any money. I didn't have any travel. But
so I mean, week 5, that's coming up soon. It's this October 6th.
Yeah,
I could start looking up at tickets for that, see how much they cost. You and I just take a quick drive over to Denver or even fly.
Yeah. And that's so obvious now that I think about it. Like, yeah, we talked about the Broncos and the Colts. Like, yeah, of course I'd love to see that game. Yeah, we should.
It would be fun just because to take you with me.
Yeah.
To be like, hey, here's your first NFL game. Hey, it's your favorite team.
Dude.
And it's my favorite team.
Yeah. And we could just go for like a couple days. Like the drive there, stay overnight, watch the game.
The 6th of October is I gotta check and see if that's a Sunday night, Monday night, a primetime game.
Either way, I've got the vacation for it, so
I don't. It's a Thursday night game. Oh, it's a primetime game.
Really? Oh.
I would love to go to that.
Wow, that would be sweet.
Shoot, October comes around. No, fuck. I won't have vacation by then.
Oh no.
Vacation doesn't doesn't start again until the next month.
Yeah. For everybody listening, me and Zach work at the same place.
So we work for Coca-Cola.
That's right. We're Coke suckers.
Coke dealers.
Coke dealers. Oh, I always thought of myself as more of a Coke sucker than a Coke dealer.
No, honestly, though, I'd talk and be like, I'd come up with some bullshit thing, be like, hey, I need to be gone for
A funeral. We just couldn't post pictures. So
Fair enough.
I'll put in vacation for it ahead of time. Oh my God, let's just put this out in the ether for everybody to hear, right? But, but
Oh, yeah.
I'll put in the vacation for it ahead of time. And then you, I don't know, let's say Tuesday,
6 days before.
like 4, 5, 6 days before you call. You're like, hey, my grandma died.
And I'll use my grandma that's already passed away.
Yeah, my grandma died in a tragic tennis accident, and
and then you know when they were transporting to the hospital, bear mauled her in the ambulance.
yeah, dude, take a picture of yourself in front of the hospital.
Denver Hospital.
Yeah, we'll go over there as soon as we get there. We'll take a no, but you just call and be like, hey, my grandma died. Already, funeral is on this day, right? I wouldn't even speak of the game to anybody, nobody. I don't give a shit. I'm not going to be saying I'm going. I'm just taking vacation because yada yada, So, and then just for whatever reason, they don't need to even.
So
know.
that would require we'd probably leave Wednesday. We'd need Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off.
Yeah, so we take Wednesday, and I just take through Saturday.
Unless you'd feel like, you would have to work Saturday, so that'd suck. Unless you want to we get off Wednesday
and
drive down.
No,
after work.
Nah, just take the day.
It really ain't that bad of a drive.
Yeah. The order of business is to look up tickets and see what those are at, and then just go from there.
I guarantee you they're going to be expensive.
Hey, I just got that new Apple Card, so.
Let's max it out.
Yeah, right. Let's pay for this game for the next 4 years. Dude, even if we're like seriously nosebleed, it'd be worth it to be there.
I would go where my dad and I went last year. We were still in the upper bowl, but we were the last row in the upper bowl, so we might as well have been in the lower bowl. And we were 50-yard line.
That's awesome. Yeah, let's just look and see what we can get, and then if we can get the tickets, let's start making some plans. Start telling the wives what's going to happen, and get there and check it out, because that is not that far down the road. So start making the plans for it, and honestly, look forward to that. Look forward to our fantasy season and the plans coming up here this next week, and it's gonna be a fun season.
So I'm just looking it up right now. Denver Broncos versus Indianapolis Colts, half price game.
Ooh,
how much is half price?
Yeah,
I'm thinking in the neighborhood of $200 a ticket.
I would do that so easy. That's no problem at all.
We want the 105. Well, see, the thing is do you want to sit behind the Colts or sitting behind the Broncos? I've been to Broncos games, so I don't mind sitting behind the Colts.
Okay, well then, if that's an option, then let's do that. If you don't care.
This won't. Well, we can't do. Oh, fuck that. We ain't doing lower bowl.
They should be relatively affordable, being that early in the season.
The hard thing is
maybe if the Broncos go like 0-5, the tickets will get real cheap.
Well, the Colts go 0-5. Well, if
that won't change.
I guess. Oh, hey, guess what?
What?
There's no seats.
It's already sold out.
Fuck. There's a bunch of seats, but it's like one over here and one over there and one
Well,
over
we got to
there.
sit together.
One over
Yeah.
there. No.
We'll just
I'm
see
not-
if anything comes available
I'm
because they
not-
can sell tickets back. You know,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
we should just sign on to one of those sites and like just get notifications when availability comes up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll keep talking about it. But
It's in the air.
yeah,
But I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here so you can get on to your draft party there.
yeah, man. But this was like really fun. I know could get all over the place at points, but we just get excited about the football season, right? I mean, like this is
Like I said at the beginning.
Yeah.
Football makes my dick rock hard.
mine
I am
too.
so excited that it is football
Oh, yeah.
season. It is football time again. Like I said, I was even watching preseason games just because I like it's football.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. I love everything about it. Like in fantasy, I'm such a nerd for it, and I could talk about this all day. Honestly, we could go another 2 hours easily if I didn't have to
easily.
go to this. So,
Yep.
I really appreciate you having me on in lieu of Trevor being gone, being absent. So this was fun. We should do this again.
Yep, you are welcome back next week if you will. Next week
Holy
we're doing
shit.
we can do it here again next week. I think I told Trevor we're doing it here.
Okay, so that's your
And I'll-
guys'
and
here
I'll-
at that.
And I'll have my third mic, so that won't be
Awesome.
an issue. So
Let's see
Yep.
what we can work out.
we'll make it a date then, hopefully.
All right.
All right, guys, we're gonna end it off here, and just like message from the last two podcasts.
Don't fuck your sister.
And with that, we're gone. Bye.